Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today I want to talk about whether or not EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a good single-player game. This idea came to me after reading a tweet from a misinformed gamer who was under the impression that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was strictly a multiplayer game. It should be noted that EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been referred to as a multiplayer focus game, and while multiplayer may have been the primary focus at the initial launch, the game has since grown into one of the greatest single-player experiences of a Star Wars Battlefront game to date. Now, Star Wars Battlefront 2 had an extremely rocky launch due to progression being behind loot boxes. And if you haven't heard the success story yet, the game is no longer like that and is actually one of the greatest Battlefront games in the series. At the initial launch, the game lacked a sufficient single-player experience, only containing the story campaign and an offline team deathmatch mode, which was worse than subpar. But since then, free updates have come to the game every month since December of 2017, and the team over at DICE have added in brand new single-player content as a result. Today, we're going to take a look at all the single-player content within Star Wars Battlefront 2. But before we do, if you guys would like to support the channel directly to help us keep making content, we have an action horror zombie film over on Amazon that we're selling. All proceeds go directly towards making new content for you guys, and it would be amazing to hear your thoughts and opinions on it if you're into action-y, zombie-esque things. We'd love to hear your reactions on it, but for now let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to look at is the campaign. Battlefront 2 launched with the baseline campaign, which has roughly 13 missions, which translates into 13 varied maps for the player to experience. The campaign is roughly 3 to 4 hours long, and pretty much all the maps within the campaign are exclusive to the single-player experience. They haven't brought any of the campaign levels over to multiplayer, but they have brought over the multiplayer levels over to single-player, but we'll get into that later. Not only is there 3 to 4 hours to experience in the main campaign, but DICE added free DLC which expanded the campaign across 3 more missions. So that's a total of 16 story missions or 16 maps to enjoy in offline single player to start. These missions include ground battles, stealth missions, aerial combat, space combat, and even some non-combative interactive scenes between characters. There's a lot to experience in the campaign, and despite the criticism the story has gotten from players and Star Wars fans alike, the missions are still fun to play, plus the maps are visually stunning to look at. There's even collectibles to find by exploring each map, extending the playtime a bit more. The next single player feature is Arcade Mode. Arcade Mode is kinda what it sounds like. It's a quick way to jump into single player battles against AI bots in a team deathmatch based mode. There are lots of parameters to customize to create challenging scenarios, not to mention there's also a mode called Onslaught which brings forth a time-based challenge to team deathmatch. DICE also added in a number of pre-made scenarios to test your skills that has you play as certain characters under various circumstances that either handicap you or force you to play on your toes. Also, this mode you're able to play in split screen with a friend and either fight against each other or take on the AI together. Within Arcade, there is also a Starfighter game mode that lets you play the multiplayer Starfighter maps offline against bots in Team Deathmatch. Just like the mode before, you can set different options to craft your experience to the way you want. Unfortunately, it's only Team Deathmatch though, as there is no objective-based mode for Starfighters as there is with Troopers. But it's still pretty fun to be able to play with Starfighters offline in single player. You can also play this mode with a friend as well. However, this is where split screen support ends, as the next few modes are strictly single player because of how vast and taxing these next few modes are for console hardware, and unfortunately there isn't split screen due to performance reasons. But they are by far the most enjoyable modes in the entire game. Which brings us to the big flagship offline mode this game has to offer, Instant Action. Instant Action is a callback to the original Battlefront games that had the player capture a command post while fighting the enemy team. That is present here in this game too, but with another mode as well, Instant Action Supremacy and Instant Action Missions. Instant Action Supremacy is classic command post capturing. You select a map and must control more command posts than the enemy team in order to reach your reinforcement count to 100%. This takes place across DICE's large-scale multiplayer maps. It's a free-flowing, non-linear system where you can go and capture any command post on the map at any time. In this mode, vehicles are accessible except for starfighters. The AI also uses heroes, special reinforcements, and vehicles unlike an arcade where the AI only uses the standard vanilla trooper classes. As you would expect, it's like the classic Battlefront games and is playable on all three eras of Star Wars. Finally, there is Missions mode. This is an attack and defense style game mode that has you battle for command posts in a more linear fashion. In Missions Attack, you and your AI team must capture command posts in order to push the enemy back to their final point. Essentially, you're given a set of command posts at one given time and must take at least control of one of them to push the enemy back to a new set of command posts. Missions Defend is similar, except the AI is on the attack and you're on the defense. If one of your command posts is captured, you're forced to fall back to the next set of command posts until the final one. There are roughly 21 large-scale maps to play on in Instant Action. In this mode alone, you can spend hours upon hours in, as it truly is a joy to fight against the AI and experience as a whole. I also have to mention that the AI in the campaign, arcade, and Instant Action are all different. The AI in the campaign play more like how you'd expect them to in a standard video game. They have animations for when they take cover, they'll flank the player, and use various means to get the player out of cover. The AI in arcade feels like a simulation, more standard arcade-like to be exact. They're there for you to kill. They seem to strategize and flank less, but will run into cover when being shot at, and actually use their trooper class abilities at times. However, the AI in Instant Action are an entirely different animal. When playing Instant Action, it can feel like you're playing a game of online multiplayer. The AI is just unpredictable. They use multiple trooper classes including heroes and vehicles, they utilize their trooper abilities effectively, they roll, they dodge, they hide, they jump, they attack, they defend, you name it. Their pathing is designed to make them feel like real life players. They're a force not to be reckoned with, especially on the higher difficulties, and it's honestly some of the best AI I've seen in a video game like this, when they work properly. There are some bugs, but to be honest, that should be expected in any video game you play. In summary, EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 has essentially 5 single-player modes for you to enjoy. If we break it down, it has the campaign, Team Deathmatch, Starfighter Arcade, Instant Action Supremacy, and Instant Action Missions.
Has joined us.
All playable across all 3 eras of Star Wars on small and large maps alike. Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA isn't just a good single-player game, it's a great one that's worth your time and the price of Battlefront 2 alone, even if you're never going to play the multiplayer at all. In 2017, my answer would have been totally different, as the game severely lacked a decent single-player experience. But in 2020, EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 has one of the best, if not the best, single-player experiences across all the Battlefront games. Sure, you won't be participating in ground-to-space combat, or sabotaging capital ships from the inside, but there is still an amazing single-player experience to be had with this game. It's not the be-all end-all experience of gaming, but it is an enjoyable one, especially if you want to participate in epic battles in Star Wars offline and single-player. Right now, this is the Star Wars single-player game if you want to have blaster fights, lightsaber duels, and vehicle combat in a modern Star Wars game. I've personally been having a blast with the single-player offerings this game has, and I hope you'll give it a shot too. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite single-player mode is in Battlefront 2, and what era you like to play the most. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more videos similar to this one. And if you'd like to support us making content, we have an action film over on Amazon that we'd love for you guys to check out as well. If you like zombies, cool action, cheesy dialogue, and indie films, then our movie Standoff is for you. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
To intercept that enemy Corvette.
On your position.
Agent Miko, engage those rebel ships.
Yes, Commander. Corvus is on the move.
Stay on him. Blockade runner destroyed.